This was a topic we had in the last engineers meeting that we had last year. It was the first one, actually. This slogan of save the planet.
Yeah.
The planet doesn't need saving. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old. We're here for 200, 300,000 years. It's arrogant to say that you're going to come and save the planet. The planet actually will be happier if we go. In reality, we are trying to save ourselves and our children.
Yeah.
And when you put it to them in this way, they understand that it's personal. It impacts them and their families.
Yeah.
I see and I hope we'll continue to go in the right direction.
Welcome to the Green Mind podcast, where we explore the innovations driving us towards a more sustainable future. I'm Walewein, your host. Today I'm joined by Ahmed Al Kiki, a seasoned leader in hospitality with over 20 years of experience. As Senior Vice President of Technical Services at Tetra, Hospitality and Millennium Hotels MEA, Ahmed has been pivotal in advancing sustainability across the region. Welcome, Ahmed.
Thank you very much.
So, I like to kick off with a simple question. How did sustainability become such a significant focus in your work? And what inspired you to become an advocate to sustainable practices within the industry?
That's a very interesting one. I'm trying to figure out when was the start, but I have highlights that I can think of. So I remember correctly, I think in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, there was a UNESCO report that was issued at the year stating that we have consumed, it's usually issued in October, no, it was issued for the year before. So 2008, it was issued for 2007, saying that we have consumed all our food that can be produced by the planet in 1 year by August of that year. And whatever we have used from August of that year until the end of that year was from the year after, and so on. And I was like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I started getting involved a bit to understand more about sustainability. And it got way more serious when I had my first child. When Colin was born, you can see that whatever you're doing is going to impact him directly. So that's how maybe it started or how it continued. I don't remember exactly when was the start.
Yeah. And when you were thinking about that over your 20 years of career that you basically have, 2008, it is now 24, so 16 years later, what has been the most significant shift you have seen in the hospitality industry with that in mind?
In the hospitality industry in general, there is a lot of how do you call it? A lot of sustainability talks.
Yeah.
The shift is still happening. It's still not there yet. You need change happens by people, and people are not aware yet of the impacts that we cause to the environment. Given as well that globally, hotels or hospitality sector is not a huge contributor to the greenhouse gases, unlike in the States, for example. The States, retail and commercial and residential buildings contribute 13% of the greenhouse gases in the US, and they are the fifth. And they are, if you include electricity consumption and merge it as part of the building, then they are the first in US. With 31% of greenhouse gases emissions in US. The change started in hospitality by few companies coming with green certifications. And in the beginning, it was a lot of marketing. There was some environmental pressure groups that started pushing in the hospitality markets that are advocating for guests using green hotels and so on. So they became a lot of green certifications, such as Green Globe, EarthCheck, ISO 14001, and so on.
Mm.
The change that I see happening now is the realization, because all these certifications used to happen with people not understanding what they're just following a checklist. So the checklist come from the company, they go through it. Okay, congratulations, you got the certificate. The change that is happening now is people are starting to understand. For example, what we're doing now in Millennium. We did actually last year in October a mapping exercise between, because we have all our hotels now are ISO 14001 certified.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to communicate as a corporate, I need to communicate in something that all other sectors understand. And ISO 14001 is not something understood by all sectors. What is mostly understood by everyone is UN SDGs. So what we're doing, what we did last year with the help of the Hospitality Kiosk, we did mapping between ISO 14001 and UN SDGs.
Yeah.
So we can show, we can communicate better on what SDGs are we achieving in a company as a corporate. This is getting, the shift is still happening in hospitality. Normally and generally, in every new technology happens, hospitality is a lagger. It takes time to change. We are now in the stage of starting to understand the impact that we pose on the environment, on the lives of people, and we're starting now to act on it the way it should.
And when you talk about communicating this, I would assume that it is multiple stakeholders that you communicate to, because it is your internal staff that need to understand basically what the meaning of a certification is, and not just rather a checklist at the end of the day. You need to make sure, obviously, that the asset owner has an idea of what you're going after. And I guess ultimately, most importantly, the guest.
100%, because you have, you communicate on multiple levels, and you start from, we issue a corporate report, a yearly corporate report, sustainability report, issued from our global sustainability committee. We also our Millennium Singapore, which is owned by CDL, which is a publicly traded company in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, we have to issue our ESGs reports. On the other levels, the engineers in the hotels and the GMs in the hotels and the staff in the hotels, when they talk to their friends and their family and so on, I'm ISO 14001 certified, doesn't mean anything to anyone.
No.
But if you can show them the UN SDGs and tell them, I'm achieving this, I'm working on this, this is what we're working on next, it makes sense, and it makes it easier to communicate among your friends and your colleagues, and it gives you this sense of fulfillment and achievement among your families and friends.
And how do you make sure that if you achieve certain levels and you certify, that it is not a one-off sort of event to certify and qualify, but that it is an ongoing, almost embedded process in your organization? Is that, how do you? So
we have monthly reports that we collect from the hotels. We have quarterly reports that we collect and report to Singapore. Yeah. And we have a yearly gathering for all the engineers at the hotels. We have it in our budget instructions every year to all the hotels. Yeah. On top of that, we are building a culture in the company. Yeah. And we're trying to move a bit from, and this was a topic we had in the last engineers meeting that we had last year. It was the first one, actually, we had last year. Mm-hmm. This slogan of save the planet. Yeah. The planet doesn't need saving. The planet actually will be
Us.
happier if we go.
Yeah.
You're talking about a universe that's 13.27 billion years old, and the Earth is 4.6 billion years old. We're here for 200, 300,000 years.
Yeah.
It's arrogant
Yeah.
to say that you're going to come and save the planet.
Yeah.
In reality, we are going to be in a very bad condition. We're not going to be there. We're trying to save ourselves and our children.
Yeah.
And when you put it to them in this way, they understand that it's personal. It impacts them and their families.
Yeah.
And this change of culture that we are planting there in the company is being very well received, to be honest, so far.
Mm-hmm.
And things I see and I hope will continue to go in the right direction.
Does it energize people when you make it personal?
It makes them, when people just open their eyes, oh, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It affects me. I need to act on it.
Yeah.
And for hotels, when you explain to them what is the impact that is going to be personal, and what are the solutions, what do we need to act upon now? Because it's very easy for hospitality. You need to act on two things: your energy consumption and your waste.
Yeah.
And 70% of your issues are solved.
Yeah.
Of your impact actually will be solved.
But I also guess that people like to be in the status quo of their daily routines, and how do you break that?
They usually are. Usually are. Once you personalize the problem, they start thinking differently. They would be more willing to act upon. Now, most, let's say, 60% of the cases will be an instantaneous reaction. Yeah. That once you left, things go back to normal, go back to status quo, no changes happen, and 40% they take it and they act on it. Yeah. With the other 60%, we just keep following up because I need to see my data. I need to get my data every month. I need to see that you're doing something about it. Yeah. And we started, for example, so in Millennium, we set for the waste, we started collecting waste data this year. And we're setting a target from next year that we have to have 70% landfill diversion from all our hotels next year. And people, when you tell them 70%, wow, how can we achieve 70%? That's very easy. Yeah. Food waste. Yeah. Yeah. Hotels generate 70% of their waste is food waste. Yeah. Yeah. And once you control food waste, 70% of your waste is diverted from landfill. Yeah.
When you look at hotels, they obviously have this sometimes difficult triangle to manage because obviously you have your business, you are towards the outside world, you want to have guests and you want them to have a great experience. But most of the hotels are operated just by the brand, and then you have the asset owner who owns the building. When you are thinking about creating sustainable operations, and now I'm also talking a little bit more about one of the biggest consumers, obviously, for example, in the building is HVAC. You need to make certain investments to make sure that what you have runs properly, efficiently. How do you manage that entire process? Because sometimes means stepping on toes.
There is, you do sometimes, but it's when you explain it to all the stakeholders that it's a win-win for everybody. Yeah. Just think about it. You're a hotel running. You have 25 to 35% of your total cost is payroll. Yeah. And you have depending on how efficient the hotel is, it's going to be 4 to 10% of your energy. Of your total cost is going to be coming from energy and utilities consumption. What if I save you here? Now, I don't normally use the word saving in energy. I hate it actually because excuse my French, any idiot can save energy. I just switch off the light, I'm going to save energy. Yeah. But I like it more of optimizing our consumption, reducing our waste of energy, actually eliminating waste of energy. So the way you do it any saving in the money that I'm going to do from optimizing my energy consumption is going to hit my bottom line.
Yeah.
And it's a win for the operator, a win for the owner, and a win for the guest.
Yeah.
Because I'll be able to provide the guest with other services based on the money that I'm having coming in. The other part is going to be the waste. I pay a lot of money. All hotels pay a lot of money for waste collection.
Yeah.
But for recyclables, I get rebates.
Yeah.
I can actually make money from my garbage.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I do it? Why would anyone resist it? The thing is, people don't realize that it's in there. Once you show the financial benefit to the business manager, and this being the GM of the hotel or the asset manager from the owner side, once you show the financial benefit that will reflect on their business, they are on board. It just takes time to understand that there is actually a financial benefit coming out of it.
Yeah. But it is also still, the motivator is then still the financial aspect of 100%, things.
100%.
So coming back to whether people get energized about the threat, basically, that we, as visitors of Earth, in this case, have an existential motive to do things. That is pretty difficult. How do you think that governments, or here in the UAE, Emirates, need to drive this? Is regulation a very important component of it also?
See, the issue with the hospitality sector in UAE, or certain positions in the hospitality sector, should be regulated.
Yeah.
Some are, like, for example, security. They are regulated.
Yeah.
The thing is that technical and facilities management, I believe, should be regulated.
Mm.
The reason being, there is a lot of unqualified personnel that run the facilities part or the engineering part of the maintenance part of the hotels. They normally, and the way they continue being there is because the GM of the hotel, he doesn't have a technical background. His advisor should be the chief engineer or his director of engineering.
Yeah.
But if his engineer and his doesn't know if there is something wrong or if there is an area of improvement, however, whenever the GM asks him for something, he's fulfilling. Why bother?
Yeah.
He's doing everything I want. Why would I change?
Yeah.
Now it comes down to either qualifying these engineers. So you cannot hold such a position in a hotel without having a particular license.
Yeah.
And I can, if I scale up from my experience, you will find that around 30% of the engineers in hotels in UAE are qualified.
Yeah.
Which means around 70% are not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm saying qualified doesn't mean good, just qualified.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with being good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it takes. I'll give you a very easy example. I visited few hotels, a lot of them, and one of the things that is apparently very common in UAE to happen is for the engineers to save energy. And this is what they're doing. They're saving energy. They're not optimizing energy.
Yeah.
They switch off the fresh air handling unit.
Yeah.
Now, the fresh air handling unit, and I spend a lot of time in our meetings explaining this to them. Imagine the damage you're doing. First of all, you're negatively pressurizing your building, meaning you're inviting humid, water-full air hot air into the building. What happens when hot air full of water comes into the building?
Yeah.
It goes up because the density of hot air is lower than the density of the cold air.
Yeah.
So it goes up. What does it mean when it goes up? It means the AC grills. It goes above the false ceiling. It means the chilled water pipes. What are they? They are cold. And this is hot. So what does it do? The first thing, it condensates.
Yeah.
Once it condensates, you start having mold formation. You're causing health issues. All your chilled water insulation will be damaged. And that's why you have this issue. This is a very common issue in buildings
Yeah.
more than 7 years old, 5 to 7 years old
Yeah.
in UAE. They're all full of mold. And this is residential and commercial and
Anywhere.
hotels and anywhere.
Yeah, we see daily.
Whenever you have facilities management or operators there, they all do the same thing. They all switch off the fresh air handling unit. And you just have mold formation. You wonder where's it coming from. And the solution for mold, paint it.
Yeah.
Because paint is cheaper.
But useless.
But useless, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing. The second thing, for example, just think of a hotel. You have a hotel, you have the corridor, and you have the rooms distributed. Now, the room, by design, is designed to be positively pressurized to the corridor.
Yeah.
Sorry, negatively pressurized to the corridor. Why is that? So in case there's a fire inside the room, it doesn't spread through the corridor because your corridor is your emergency escape route.
Yeah.
Now, I stop the fresh air.
You flip it.
You're flipping it.
Yeah.
So my corridor is not pressurized anymore. So I have a fire in the room, the smoke will spread. And normally, the first reason for people dying in fires is stampede.
Yeah.
The second reason is suffocating from smoke.
Yeah.
So you're killing people by just switching off the fresh air.
Yeah.
Your third reason is, as per the ASHRAE, you have to have 30% of your volume of air in any room of fresh air for health reasons.
Yeah.
You're not doing that. There is no benefit of not running fresh air except saving energy.
Yeah.
And I use the word saving here, not optimizing, because you should not do it.
Yeah.
It's basically, I'm having a meeting in the boardroom, and I'm switching off the light and the AC.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. So how do you think the impact of technology will be in sort of changing or helping to change basically this behavior? Because IoT, for example, very good. We have very sophisticated BMS systems in place in mostly the new buildings. And now with AI around the corner and actually being implemented, you get a wealth of information, data. But how do we make sure that qualified people actually can work with this and take the right actions? And
I love the work. I love the work on the hype on AI recently. But let me take it bit by bit.
Yeah.
So I love data. When you have data, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Yeah.
And I believe that going forward, we will be obsolete. People like me will be obsolete. It will need, the people that will be sitting in my place will be data analysts and that knows how to collect data and work with the data.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to do now. So we have a couple of softwares that we are deploying in all our hotels that will automatically collect all the data from the daily operation. And then these all are gathered in our office, in the head office, and we do our analysis on it. Now, if you talking about AI, it's basically, you know, when we started, you talked about sustainability, and I told you in the hospitality, it was more of a marketing thing in the beginning.
Yeah.
There is, every now and then, there is a hype. And AI is a hype so far. The AI started in 1956. First AI model. AI has been used in financial sector, for example, by Goldman Sachs and the likes since 1996.
Yeah.
The new hype is LLMs, the large language models.
Yeah.
They're just fun. They can talk to you.
Yeah.
Imagine you got investors paying a lot of money for a robot that can talk back to you. But they paid money just because it can talk back.
Yeah.
Cannot do anything else.
Yeah.
There is no particular use. AI is something that has been, so you have machine learning, which is fully utilized. You have, and it has to do with the application. So you have machine learning and neural networks, particular for the application.
Yeah.
In the hospitality, we're using machine learning, not us, our business partners,
Yeah.
supplying us with softwares and so on.
Yeah.
They didn't develop any particular application for AI for the especially or tailored for hospitality yet. We're looking at possible changes or adoption of AI in the future, having to do with predicting guest needs rather than expecting guest or rather than fulfilling guest needs and so on. But this is a bit in the future. Coming back to your question, people like me will be obsolete, and people like the engineers because if you don't know how to deal with data,
Yeah.
there is no point of having you there.
But then again, I guess that so machine learning is definitely a very powerful element in the equation, because at the end of the day, the computations are so vast. You can predict certain events from happening, and especially in engineering, if you measure, you start to see patterns and you start to be able to model it at the end of the day, which I think is very powerful and absolutely needed. But at the end of the day, it will signal that something needs to be actioned, whatever it is. Break fix, or you have a preventative maintenance activity that needs to take place. How do you, in the future, make sure that you make that connection between the signaling element, predicting element, and then still the human aspect will still be there to a degree, I guess?
Qualifications. The only way to get it is qualification and training. We have something, softwares that does, for example, energy profiling.
Yeah.
So, and it uses machine learning.
Yeah.
So you have, if you want to call it AI, you can call it AI.
Yeah. What's in a word?
But it's a very particular application for this. So what it does is you measure an area. So you take an area in the hotel. You don't do it in the full hotel. You can, but it's not going to give you data that you can work with. So you take an area in the hotel, and you say you're going to measure temperature of this area, the CO2 levels, the outside temperature, the relative humidity of the day, and the cooling degree days. Will get it from the internet, and you will have the energy consumption of this particular area.
Yeah. And
then it creates for you a profile. So you understand what is your profile of this area of the hotel every day. So you know that when you have normally this place between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. consumption is between this and this. And after 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. the consumption is this, and so on. So you understand the profiling. So once you have an outlier, this is where you look and find what is the cause of the outlier.
Yeah.
Now, outliers are what you try to learn from, because each outlier will have a different reason. Until you have enough data, enough days that you have created, that you have measured the profiles for, where every time this outlier happened, it was because the machine needed maintenance, for example. So then you measure the time needed for this. So you come, then the system will understand that after this number of days, you need to start doing the maintenance, so you don't have this outlier. This is there today. Actually, this is there 5 years ago.
Yeah,
it has been there. And it's not being used, though. Not being used at a scale that, because this is something, for example, in my opinion, everybody should use.
Yeah.
It's not, for different reasons, and people are not familiar with it, they're not qualified to deal with it, or it's going to give us too much work that we don't need to do.
Yeah.
We're not doing and we don't need to do, and so on. But it is there. So we were talking before the podcast, and you mentioned it's the big word, the change.
Yeah.
And change in people is not something that goes together very well. You need a lot of time to push for a change and get the buy-in from everyone, adoption from everyone to start moving in the same direction. It takes a bit of time.
Yeah. No, and it does, and it is difficult also.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at myself, it is also difficult to adopt new things fully immediately. It takes time. What I find interesting is that so we're dealing a lot with hospitality clients, and it seems a lot that people on the floor are firefighting a lot, running around every day, whereas all this tooling is already available to a large degree and will become more powerful. Why, or rather, how is it that that sort of behavior can be changed? Because at the end of the day, firefighting is also a symptom of certain things of the past not executed very well for multiple reasons, and not necessarily fault of people that are doing the maintenance. There is legacy in most buildings. As you said, I mean, after 5 to 7 years, if you switch off the fresh air handling unit to safe, you cause actually issues that become permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Because
see, this is part of what the implementation we're doing now for a software that we're implementing all over our hotels.
Yeah.
So, for example, there is. Let's go to the basic. You have 3 types of maintenance. You have time-based maintenance, condition-based maintenance, and reactive maintenance.
Yeah.
Time-based, I'll give a good example for everyone. It's your car.
Yeah.
So your car, you need to take it to the service to be serviced every 6 months or every 5,000 kilometers or 10,000 kilometers. Reactive, your car has a problem. You need to take it and do some reactive maintenance, repair it basically.
Yeah.
So that's the third one. Mostly what happens in the hotel is the third one, is reactive.
Yeah.
Unless it's regulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then the other is happening.
Yeah.
The react. So that's why exactly what you're saying, firefighting. That's what they're doing, because there is a problem, they go and fix it.
Yeah.
But no one looks at how to do proper preventive maintenance programs in place. And this is what we have in the software that we're implementing everywhere. So the software basically, you have all the assets in the hotel, all the equipment in the hotel, all the machines and so on, and even the rooms, room inventory is inserted into the system. The daily checklists, the monthly maintenance, quarterly maintenance, half-yearly and annual maintenance are all recorded there as a checklist. So you have today, for example, the AC technician has a maintenance for the AHU number 16. So he arrives, he logs in by his phone that he reported the duty. He gets a push notification. You have this maintenance to be done today.
Yeah.
He goes into the machine. He has a checklist on the phone that tells him, okay, switch off the machine, tick, do this, tick, do this, and so on.
Yeah.
It goes step by step, and we made it in a way that anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And in about 16 languages. So you have all languages possible that the technician, no matter where is he from, he can understand what is written.
No loss in translation.
And then you have a report at the end. You know, every month, this is your planned maintenance. This is your actual achieved maintenance that was done for it. We're in the rollout, but once it's rolled out, we'll be setting a target for all the engineers. So it should be finished by end of this year. that they must achieve 95% of their planned maintenance every year. Ultimately, they should achieve 100%, but let's say a problem here, a problem there. Once you have achieved 95%, or you have done your preventive maintenance, it's a proportionate relationship between there's a correlation between preventive maintenance and corrective maintenance.
Yeah.
Once you increase your preventive maintenance, your reactive maintenance gets reduced. It helps you better to plan.
Yeah.
It helps you better budget for the year after. It also helps you because, for example, and this is a question that I ask all the GMs, ask anyone in hospitality.
Yeah.
How many times a year you should do maintenance for a room? Everybody will tell you 2 times a year. Why?
Yeah.
No one knows.
Somebody has told them at some point.
Somebody said that long time back.
Yeah.
The system we have, okay, you want to do 2 times a year? Fine. We don't know. We will set it first in 2 times a year.
Yeah.
But we will see how many reactive maintenance requests come from each room.
Yeah.
So let's say you did for room 112 today. And in 30 days, it started to come. A lot of orders coming into this room. So I cannot wait for 5 more months to do it.
No.
Need to be done now. So let's do it now. And this is what the system does. And it measures during this time from this time that we did and the time that I had to go again, how many times was it occupied?
Yeah.
Because if it's not occupied, why would it go bad?
Yeah.
Why do I need to go and do some reactive maintenance there? So maybe it's a matter of number of nights occupied rather than 2 times a year.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of the hotels have a presidential suite. The presidential suite get occupied once a year, twice a year.
Yeah.
While I have a sea view room, the standard room that gets occupied every day.
Yeah.
Do I do this 2 times a year? I do this 2 times a year?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
No. And how? Because I also believe that these type of maintenance schedules, like you say, they're sort of like fixed and quote unquote nobody knows why they are like that. But they also don't play very much into, let's say, for example, scalable, sustainable future plans on how to affect basically the efficiencies inside a building structure as a whole. Because ultimately everything contributes also to the plans that you have for the next 3-5 years to convert an asset into a more efficiently run or maybe even as per design situation. Because when I look at HVAC as a simple example, I mean, we have the tendency based on the climate environment over here to obviously oversize the cooling capacity of HVAC inside the structures here, logically. But that also already says we are accepting that we're going to lose by default a good portion of its capacity due to any type of degradation of the system over time, be that fouling or whatever it is. How, and this is a difficult question, I assume, how do you plan basically for future sort of actions, strategies that improve those efficiencies on a more permanent basis?
That's a complex question. So let's try to break it down.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I hear something behind your question that you were told probably by some of the engineers you met in hotels, which is commonly, they always tell you, oh, the design was wrong. It's badly designed or it's oversized.
Yeah.
I happen to work in hotel operations, owner, as a consultant, and as project manager.
Yeah.
So I know the cycle and I know how things are done in each one.
Yeah.
The design of a hotel is done by very smart people, very, very smart people.
Yeah.
Normally smarter than the operator that will come.
Yeah.
But regardless, they don't do it based on their likings. They do it based on an international standard that's set by way smarter people.
Yeah.
And tested for many years.
Yeah.
So they follow codes and regulations. They don't just design from their head. The thing is, with design, you have to design for the worst case scenario. So in the worst case scenario, will your system be capable of overcoming this worst case scenario? And we're not talking about extremes. We're not talking about something out of the ordinary. But if in a hotel, for example, a worst case scenario, let's talk HVAC system. A worst case scenario in a hotel is August, 100% occupancy. That's a worst case scenario. Do I design for August 100% occupancy?
Probably not.
We don't. Actually, we don't. But when we design for something between this.
Yeah.
Because normally it will not happen. We normally design for 60% in August. To give you the number. And between winter conditions. So in winter, I'll look oversized. But when we design the HVAC system, one of the most important criteria to look at is the partial load. Because I need to make sure that if this building takes 1,000 tons, it needs 1,000 ton refrigeration of cooling.
Yeah.
I will not get one chiller for 1,000 ton. I will get 3 chillers of 350.
Yeah.
So in winter, you need to run one chiller.
Yeah.
And this is the logic, the philosophy of the operation.
Yeah.
You don't know how to run it.
Yeah.
And then you blame the designer that he oversized it. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
I give you more. Most of the chillers available today, not today, available 20 years ago, they can run on 20 years ago, 25% partial load. Today, they can run 10% partial load. So if I have a 350 or a 1,000 ton chiller, it can run on 100 ton.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the consumption will be 10%.
Yeah. So, and that is basically also how you can manage the efficiencies literally from a cockpit.
And to
in
do
the BMS.
a cockpit, that's exactly the point. Because at the end of the day, all of this is connected into a chiller plant management system that I get there, or the BMS, and I manage it from there. What is the first thing the operator does when he comes in there? Switch it off.
So, I have a final question. What has been your personal most proudest moment in the context of achieving a sustainability goal? Tying back into your the reason why sustainability became important for you as a person in your career. What is the moment that you thought, yeah, I have contributed towards basically my own goal, my own reason?
But I'm not sure if I can.
So to rephrase it, maybe you were talking about running out of food. By August, we were starting to borrow basically from the future. When we look at our daily lives and we're busy trying to make an impact with sustainability in mind, what has been the biggest achievement that you are proud of where you have stopped borrowing from the future? Not necessarily in the food context, but...
There are a couple, but the one that I'm most proud is not actually professional. The most proud moment was when my 9 and 7 years old sons come and talk to me or tell me, don't do this. This is not good for us and for the environment.
Yeah.
I feel that I achieved something by getting them involved and part of it. There was 11 years ago, I was in a hotel it was one of MAF hotels, and we did a lot of changes in that hotel, retrofitting, that we achieved over 2 years, 32% less consumption of energy, and we didn't impact anything in the hotel. That was a very proud moment. It took me, I had to do a major shutdown with 62 laborers in one night, with a shutdown for everything in the hotel over 6 hours, and we got it done. That was in an operating hotel that we do it now easily in projects, but in an operating hotel that was very difficult, and we managed to get it done. It was very successful.
Ahmed, thank you very much for your time today. I enjoyed our conversation. I hope you did.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.